There's a table and a chair down on the street. Stood there for 3 days. They're not ancient, but they do look pretty old. Like something my nan would have in her house. Not in the best of conditions, but serviceable. Certainly no reason to throw them out, but I'm not a furnitologist, so what do I know? At least they're not hindering traffic. The street was ripped open weeks ago. Envir has been complaining incessantly about the noise every morning, but then, of course, he has a very late interpretation of when that time of day is. I asked him why he thinks there's a table and a chair in the middle of a construction site. He just shrugged, then informed me I'm not allowed to cook anymore. Apparently, I oversalted the chili. It's not the first time he said this, so it's getting annoying. It wasn't that salty. Last night it rained. Cats and dogs, really. Half the construction site was underwater when I cycled to work. Looking at them now, the table and the chair seem fine. As far as I'm aware, this type of wooden furniture disintegrates fast in the rain. There's puddles all around them, but even the upholstery looks dry. I seem to be the only one who finds any aspect of this weird. The table could easily fit 4 chairs, 6, if it really came down to it. Why is there only 1? No construction workers have been around for almost a week now. Envir confirmed this, happy about his undisturbed sleep. The table and the chair are still there, untouched, waiting for someone. Who knows when he'll show up? Envir stopped me in the kitchen today. I was pouring salt into my lentil soup because it tasted like nothing. It turns out I put half the shaker in there. He said I might be coming down with something, and also that he'd be sequestering the salt in his room from now on, because apparently it's expensive. I pointed out the time of Viking raids is over, but it's pointless to argue with Envir. What disease stops salty taste buds from working? My nose isn't stuffy either. I have no headache, nothing. I have the day off tomorrow though, so I reckon I should go to the doctor's. First though, I'll sit by the window and keep an eye on that table and that chair tonight. I fell asleep at some point. Turns out old furniture under a streetlight is not exactly riveting. Of course, the only time I wasn't looking, something interesting happened. It's 5 in the morning, but there's a full breakfast down there. Fried sausage and scrambled eggs, a plate full of radishes and dill, buttered pumpernickel, with a thick slab, not just a slice, of cheese. There's also a salt cellar, beautiful old thing, polished brass, embossed with flowers. The whole thing looks really out of place, but nobody is up yet. Even Envir went to sleep. I think him brushing his teeth is what woke me up. I'm not sure if it's trespassing to walk into a construction site that is right on your doorstep, but I am very hungry, and I'm craving salt. Something weird happened. I went to eat that breakfast. Part of me thought, if someone looks out the window now, you will be known as either a fruitcake or a legend for the rest of your life. Probably both. I was too busy ladling salt onto my scrambled eggs to care. Every time I turned my spoon back to the salt cellar, it was full again. I was so busy eating that I didn't even notice the fog until a man stepped out of it. He was small, elderly, wearing a pine green felt suit and a pork pie hat. He had a cane in his hand, a walking stick carved with mementos of trips across the mountains. The fog he'd brought was so dense that I could barely make out the entrance of my building. Took you long enough? He had one of those Polish accents that are heavy but not too difficult to understand. I'm sorry, who are you? I said. Call me Lichnik. He set down a bottle and 2 glasses. Just when I thought I couldn't read the language on the label, I also realized that I could. Bison grass vodka, isn't it a bit early in the morning? Mr. Lichnik simply poured the ever so slightly greenish-yellow liquor into our glasses. "I invested a lot to get you back," he said as he pushed one of them over. The taste was sharp, but in a soothing way. Refreshing, almost. Best vodka I ever had, really. Do we know each other? "We are related." "I'm not aware of any Polish relatives. We're all from here, England. My great-grandmother, I think, was French, but I'm not sure. Not that I have a problem with immigrants." Mr. Lichnik shook his head. "A different kind of relation. You wouldn't understand if I explained it. Drink up." And drink up I did, downed a whole glass of vodka before 6 in the morning. Not a shot glass, a glass. And I was gone, somehow? Dead. I'm pretty sure I'd remember that. Part of me knew I was supposed to be weirded out by this, maybe even make a run for it, but I didn't. Mr. Lichnik did not laugh, just refilled our glasses. "You are still dead, but you are also back, yes? Different you, it is not as complicated as it sounds." "Okay. And what is it that you want from me exactly? What was the nature of our relationship before I, died?" "What is your profession?" "Well, I'm an accountant, but I'm also at uni learning." "Good. Last year was subway maintenance worker. Have you ever played poker?" I blinked at the abrupt change of subject. "Can't say that I have. Never been into gambling." "A wise gambler only ever bets what he can lose." "This is simple fact. I am not a wise gambler. My work requires that I often bet everything I have. You see how this can become a problem." You could lose everything under that paradigm. In business school, tak. Exactly. I need someone to hold most of what I have, so I can't bet it all. There have to be things I don't have, things I should never lose. So you want to become my client? Look, I'm qualified, but my contract is with myself and my organization, yes. Big operation, a lot of money and resources for you to hide and przechowanie, keep safe. I set down the glass, not as buzzed as expected. I'm sorry, Mr. Lichnik, but hiding sounds a little suspect, if you don't mind my saying so. I know we accountants have a reputation, but I am a law-abiding citizen. Things had turned from weird to uncomfortable in a snap. I want no trouble with anyone, but also not the Met. I heard myself beginning to ramble. I do not care. You are a man. Men must do what needs to be done, yes? Mr. Lichnik reached under the table and set down an old gas lantern. Its glass bulb was tinged, but I knew it would work, even though I'd never used a lamp like this before. This belongs to you. Finish breakfast, then you go explore your new but old office. There was an opening in the ground. I had known it was there, just part of the construction site, but it went a lot deeper than it should have. I wondered how I knew that. It's not like I'd been down there, yet somehow I knew what to expect. Ancient caverns, stable, crisscrossed by man-made shafts, vaults carved from the rock. They felt so empty. I will return tomorrow, organize delivery, so we can refill our coffers, as you say. Mr. Lichnik turned around. I noticed he hadn't been sitting down, he was just a tiny man. Welcome back, treasurer. Na razie. He stepped into the fog and disappeared, just like that. Within a minute, the whole street was clear again. I sat there, at a table in the middle of the construction site, belly full, my old lantern in my hand. I didn't go down into the caverns. But I want to. Very much, in fact. And I have to say, I find that fucking scary.